is a viable way to conduct business. I'm here to say that it is not, and that if you choose to do this, we'll bring you swiftly to justice.
Wait until you hear not only the allegations, but the evidence, surveillance, Instagram accounts, fingerprints. It is something to say the least. We have the criminal complaint that lays out everything, and we're gonna break it all down for you right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, I have to share this, some really exciting news, okay? We have spent so much time together here at Law and Crime obsessing dozens of hours of commercial-free episodes and exclusive case files. Doesn't even make sense of this headline. Rapper Gucci Mane was allegedly robbed and kidnapped by other rappers? So as the Department of Justice puts it in their release statement, quote, this week 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, were federally charged for kidnapping and robbing at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas, announced United States Attorney for the Northern District of Texas, Ryan Raybould. 8 of the 9 were arrested in Dallas, Texas and Memphis, Tennessee. The charged defendants include Lontrell Williams Jr., aka Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr., aka Big 30, Kadarius Waters, Terrence Rogers, Demarion Gibson, DeMarcus Glover, Corday Johnson, Darian McDaniel. Actually, by the way, there was a press conference held yesterday, and I want you to listen to that moment where they talk about that one person who was missing in this, right? So there's people who's charged, but not everybody had been arrested. So this is United States Attorney for the Northern District of Texas, Ryan Raybould.
One of the individuals that's been charged has not had his initial appearance yet, but agents are actively working to locate and bring him to court.
And I wanted to touch on that actually. Eric Bushman with KRLD. Since there's one person you're still trying to get to come in, I guess it's not an arrest, it's initial appearance. You would have said that you're trying to work out. Because you're going public with this, are you afraid at all that that's going to hinder eventually getting an individual in?
Agents are working to find him. The complaint has already been unsealed, and a number of these defendants have had their public hearing already, their initial appearance, and so it's already out there that this individual has been charged, and so that information is in the public record. But I trust that the agents will be able to identify this person and find them and bring them to justice. Of course, that person can turn themselves in immediately.
And I have a 32-page criminal complaint that was filed in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas that I'm going to break down for you as simply as possible. I want you to know the allegations, the potential evidence, the parties, okay? Gives you an idea about what this case is about. And I got to say this before I even get into it. You're going to understand after I go through this why these individuals were arrested in light of this alleged evidence, but all of them are innocent until proven guilty. I gotta say that because, again, you're gonna listen to this and you might be saying, wow, the evidence against them is arguably really bad, but nothing has been proven as of yet. Okay, with that caveat, let's get into it. So this is an affidavit. It is a sworn statement from an FBI special agent in support of a criminal complaint. And this is the statement of probable cause that crimes were committed. Okay? It starts by claiming that on January 10th, 2026, the victims, who are only identified by initials, by the way, and they include RD, which we have to assume is Gucci Mane, because his real name is Radrick Davis, they say they were robbed and kidnapped at gunpoint at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. Now, there was apparently a scheduled meeting between RD and suspect Lontrell Williams Jr., and apparently this hip-hop artist is known as Pooh Shiesty, and he was reportedly signed to RD's record label 1017 Records. Now, this meeting was reportedly about a contract dispute. This is, again, according to prosecutors. And it seems that Williams Jr. wanted out. So the affidavit claims that when RD and the other alleged victims in this case and others go into this office building, they realize it's closed. So Williams Sr., this is apparently Williams Jr.'s father, was apparently trying to book a recording studio that day for his son and for RD to record music. Williams Sr. was apparently talking to this unidentified individual just known as JN, another player in this, who owns the studio. It's inside this office building. So now you get the geography, what we're talking about here. So the affidavit includes apparent stills from surveillance footage, that arguably shows Williams Sr. speaking to someone on the phone outside the building. I'm going to give you a little preview here. There are a lot of stills in this criminal complaint. And by the way, that helps corroborate the details. It helps corroborate the timeline. It helps corroborate the events that are laid out when you have purportedly time-stamped stills of this surveillance video. Now, an assistant reportedly arrives to help with production at 3:39 p.m. that day, and the affidavit claims that this father and son duo, the Williams, is arguing with somebody on the phone, okay? They're arguing. And I'm gonna read you this verbatim. Quote, at approximately 3:43 p.m., Williams Jr. and Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel entered the east side of the office building. The target suspects walked through the lobby area of the office building before going inside the studio. One individual with a dreadlock hairstyle, later identified as Gibson, can be seen on video exiting the office building and shortly thereafter returning with a bag slung over his shoulder. Again, embedded in this complaint are the apparent surveillance stills, okay? Now, the affidavit claims they go into the studio where the victims were, the alleged victims were, and there are stills, by the way. They included the studio lobby, the control room, the recording room. And at one point, it is alleged that Williams Jr., who was, by the way, I was blown away by this detail, was allegedly wearing an ankle monitor, okay,
Right.
goes to speak to
Right.
RD privately about the contract. I'll talk about the ankle monitor in a second. But there is allegedly an argument, and it ends up with Williams Jr. being accused of taking out a black AK-style pistol and pointing it at RD, allegedly demanding he sign the contract release paperwork. Now, RD allegedly complied, signed it, again, we're assuming this is Gucci Mane, and there is the claim that RD, seemingly Gucci Mane, was not allowed to leave as he was being held at gunpoint. There are allegations that Wright allegedly recorded RD signing the paperwork and being forced to say he released Williams Jr. from the contract, and then afterwards it's alleged that Williams Jr. took RD's wedding ring and watch and earrings and cash. I do wonder if they have that video. Okay, I do wonder if they have that. But I'm going to read you verbatim again from the complaint. Waters, Rogers, Johnson, Glover, McDaniel, and Gibson produced handguns or AR-AK-style pistols and began to demand property from BP and MM. BP was pushed onto a couch in the control room while an individual known to BP as CMO Damn Pooh and part of Williams Jr.'s crew searched his pockets and stole his wallet. BP's chain and a necklace were stolen from his neck. McDaniel threatened to shoot BP for moving, but Williams Jr. instructed McDaniel not to. MM was choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness during the kidnapping and robbery, resulting in scratches on his neck and wrist. Now, embedded in the complaint are what appear to be photos seemingly showing cuts or abrasions on MM's neck and wrist, and there is a claim that his wallet and watches and a Louis Vuitton bag and headphones were stolen. And if you're wondering about the security, right, didn't they have security with him? Well, the claim is that the victim's security realized they were outnumbered and outgunned.
Here is why we're there, and there. And that's us freezing rates last year, keeping costs stable.
Oh, God.
Because being here.
Damn, Pooh, Shiesty. He is gone. It's sad. I don't want that to happen to me, man. I don't want that for nobody either. Shit's sad.
Onto the couch in the control room, again, we're talking seemingly about Gucci Mane, causing the victims to believe they were going to be executed. Williams Jr. placed the barrel of a firearm to the back of BP's head and ordered him and RD to leave the control room in the studio through the west entrance of the office building. RD then instructed CW and TD to escort them to their vehicle. As the victims left, MM turned to Williams Jr. and asked him if they were really taking his watches. Based on later recovered surveillance video footage, the target suspects left the studio and the office building through the east entrance at approximately 4:48 p.m. And from there, the affidavit lays out the photos of the alleged suspects purportedly leaving the building and also the cars that were believed to be connected to them traveling northbound. Now, how did they find the alleged suspects? So this is really interesting. We're going to start with vehicle identification. So the affidavit claims that Wright's father owns a 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat with Tennessee plates. The authorities apparently use license plate readers to track the Charger following another car, a Dodge Ram. We're talking about 2:18 p.m. on January 10th. And they claim that that Dodge Ram looks like the one on surveillance video near the crime scene later that afternoon. They apparently used license plate readers to also link the Charger traveling very close to a white Buick Enclave, and using rental records, they determined that the Enclave was rented by Williams Sr. Let's go to electronic location monitoring. Remember when I said the ankle monitor for Williams Jr.? Well, apparently, he was serving a sentence for federal drug and weapons charges. Home detention, had to wear an electronic monitoring device. So they're able to use location data from that device to seemingly track his apparent movements near the crime scene. And then the affidavit claims that Williams Sr. and Williams Jr. went to a Staples store earlier in the day. Why? The allegation is to print off the contractual release paperwork, which again was a key part of this whole alleged dispute and incident. Now the feds say surveillance video and GPS data put them there. Cell phone records. You know these are always key in a criminal investigation, right? I'm going to read you verbatim what it says. Stay with me. This is a big part. Investigators obtained cell phone records for Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson, and telematics location data and records for the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. Records indicate Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson traveled together from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas in the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. They left Memphis on January 8, 2026 and arrived in Dallas in the early morning hours of January 9, 2026. The data from Glover's electronic monitoring device aligns with these cell phone records. On January 10, 2026, from approximately 2:28 p.m. to approximately 2:46 p.m., Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Charger Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram were in the area of the Windrose Tower, a location Williams Jr. resided prior to moving. They all traveled together to the area of offense location, meaning the crime scene, arriving at approximately 3 p.m. The data from Williams Jr.'s electronic monitoring device and location information for the Buick Enclave align with the cell phone records. Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Charger Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram traveled together from the area of the offense location, leaving at approximately 4:50 p.m. to the area of the Star in Frisco, Texas, arriving at approximately 5:07 p.m. Look how exact this is. Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson utilized towers with coverage that includes the Star until approximately 9:30 p.m. The data from Williams Jr.'s electronic monitoring device and location information for the Buick Enclave aligned with the cell phone records. Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Charger Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram. I have to keep repeating it because I think it's important that you identify the different parties. 26 in an urban environment to commit a crime and not be tracked. This is a digital world. Digital prosecution, and it can be very tough for defense attorneys to argue against the reliability of this data, particularly if you're combining different forms of data, cell phone with surveillance, with GPS monitoring, right? But you heard the Comfort Inn, by the way, according to the affidavit. The Comfort Inn records confirm, or allegedly confirm, that Gibson paid for 4 rooms at the hotel. So now you have financial records, documentation. Investigators reviewed surveillance footage from the Comfort Inn and observed Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, Glover, McDaniel inside of Gibson and Rogers on these red Solo cups too that were apparently left at the crime scene. We move on to social media. This one's next level, okay? So apparently investigators compare the descriptions of Williams Jr. from the victims, like how they described him, to an Instagram account, @Pooh Shiesty. And investigators say it shows a match. And they end up doing that for Williams Sr. and Wright and Waters, and how even there are photos apparently of them together online, and how they even match state IDs with these accounts too. And I gotta call out Rogers here. Quote, on surveillance footage from the offense location, the individual believed to be Rogers can be seen exiting the building carrying what appears to be the Louis Vuitton bag MM reportedly stolen. On at least for my analysis purposes, they really list out the evidence against each defendant very.
It's one of the reasons I wanted to list off some of the individuals.
Anyway, Pooh, you're done, man. I'm off this. I'm about to edit it, man. But long story short, man, Pooh, Shiesty, you ain't have to do that, man. For real, though. That shit making me tired. I'm about to make me some fucking food. What? I'm gonna go ahead and keep y'all updated on this. I'm definitely gonna keep y'all updated because this is wild. Gucci Man and Pooh Shiesty. It's wild. It's wild. Shit new is just coming every day.